Confucius say, what the fuck is a Sonic? Well, let's find out.
Alright, the votes are in, and the results have finally been turned over. All of you voted for your favorite Sonic games, and now it's time to see who took home the gold. With a total of 4,000 votes, as well as every single game in the series getting at least one of them, you guys gave me a lot of material to work with. You also made this list very interesting, as the ending result surprised the hell out of me. All you have to do now is sit back and watch. But before I actually start the list, I would like to add a quick disclaimer. Since this whole thing was a contest, all of the entries have been ranked depending on how many votes they received. I had no input on the order whatsoever. So if you're gonna throw any premature hissy fits, don't point fingers at me or anyone who voted. Got it? Go take that crap somewhere else. Alright, everything's set. We're just missing one thing. Alright, Sonic, you ready to do this thing?
Let's blast through this race!
As we all know, Sonic is a series that mostly makes its home on multiple console platforms. From his wistful debut in the early 90s to his modern milestones within the current generation, the Sonic series is mostly noted for its mainstay on the home consoles. Because let's face it, consoles provide a much more widespread reception area and contain much more processing power in which the developers can, well, develop their games around. Yeah, welcome to Video Game Science 101. Like any big series, Sonic has made his mark on the handheld division as well. Starting on the Sega Game Gear, the Sonic handhelds have had both flops and triumphs, ranging from the insanely awesome Sonic Battle, the unexpected gem known as Sonic Rivals, and who could forget... not that one! Yeah, most fans have mixed feelings about the Sonic handhelds, but there is one Sonic handheld in which every fan of the series can thoroughly enjoy. With 238 votes, we have the original Sonic Advance. Being the first and only Sonic handheld on here, Sonic Advance is quite literally a full-on reimagining of the original Genesis trilogy. Take pretty much all of the mechanics from the side-scrolling Genesis games, and I guarantee that you'll find all of it within Sonic Advance. Great sense of speed? Check. Little to no story? Yup. Awesome sprite work? You know it. As soon as you boot up Sonic Advance, you'll be feeling all the greatness of 2D Sonic. Best of all, it's portable. Yeah, how about that? Sonic on the go. Why is this such a huge perk? Well, think about it. One day you could be like, ugh, I'm stuck in Central Highway and I'm bored. Whoopee! Sonic Advance! Now, this could have been a copy-pasting of the classic Genesis installments, but Sega was smart enough to add more to this game than just unchanged artwork and character movesets. In fact, they actually managed to deliver a damn good reboot. All of the levels in Sonic Advance are inspired from past Sonic games, and each are given enough aesthetic changes to actually make them feel like something fresh. We were also treated to a cast of 4 different characters. We got Sonic, of course, Tails, Knuckles, and... all of these characters contain specific traits that distinguish them from one another. Sonic's the fastest runner, Tails can fly and attack using his, well, tails, Knuckles can glide, climb up walls, and perform a 3-punch combo, and Amy can perform some smooth acrobatic skills while using her hammer in numerous different ways. Despite my previous gagging toward her, Amy is actually the most fun to play as. She may control rather strangely at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's fun. Pull out that hammer, it's time for some pole vaulting. Boing! 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 All of the other characters are also fun to play as, but their movesets are based around those found in previous Sonic games. That's not bad by any means, but it's just something to point out. In conclusion, there's not too much of anything special about Sonic Advance, but it's still a great deal of fun. It perfects the classic side-scrolling that characterized the originals, and it proved once and for all that the blue blur can sustain his might on a handheld platform. But there are bigger and even more complex games to be seen later on this list. Speaking of 2D Sonic, here comes another one heading your way. Ah! Oh my god, the camera! Oh, that costed money. With a total of 261 votes, we have the fan favorite of the original Genesis trilogy, Sonic 2. Okay, before I go into depth with this one, I need to admit something to all of you. Out of all the praise I hear for a single Sonic game, Sonic 2 is, without question, brought up more than any other Sonic game. I even have a friend who actually refuses to play any other Sonic game other than Sonic 2. To save you about a paragraph worth of scripting, I'll keep this statement brief. I personally find Sonic 2 to be extremely overrated. Hey, don't start pointing your firearms at me just yet. Truth be told, I actually really like Sonic 2. Just not nearly as much as the others. Is that going to be a problem?
No. Mm-mm.
Good to hear. Either way, onto the game. As much as I get sick of hearing its constant overpraising, I do have to agree with the general consensus. Sonic 2 is a great game. It does pretty much everything a worthy sequel should do. It continues the story, expands on all the previously introduced gameplay, makes enhancements of its very own, and lengthens the playtime by a great deal. Let's take this one step at a time, shall we? As far as notable additions go, Sonic 2 is probably the most innovative 2D game of the entire collection. Sure, the original kickstarted the whole series, but it was the second one that introduced many of the famous elements that characterize the entire franchise. So, what all did Sonic 2 introduce? Well, let's start with the most important addition, the beyond useful Spin Dash. Oh my god, do I even have to describe just how useful this technique is? No longer will players have to suffer as they drag the hell on throughout a stage. Just perform a spin dash and you'll be back on the fast route in an instant. I hardly have to justify with anything else. But let's list off some other notable additions. Not only is Sonic 2 responsible for introducing Sonic's most iconic ability, but it also brought forth one of the coolest things ever. The legendary Super Sonic. Yes, the gold-furred embodiment of chaos made his debut in this game. It's exactly like Super Saiyans, except that the character using the transformation isn't boring as hell. Super Sonic acted as a neat twist in gameplay. All of Sonic's regular abilities are remained untouched in this phase, but you can also run faster and jump higher while you're in your super form, though it is limited, so be sure to watch your back. Other important additions include Tails, a 2-player mode, a 7th Chaos Emerald, robot clones, the Death Egg Mecha, the Tornado, and best of all, it showed us that Eggman is the fastest motherfucker alive.
You're not getting away! You're not getting away! I'm gonna get you this time! You gotta— fuck!
The zones introduced in Sonic 2 are some of the most well-designed of their kind, at least concerning the classic era. As much as I enjoy playing through Emerald Hill and Oil Ocean, I have to give my thumbs up to Chemical Plant Zone. It's just so fast-paced, it's ridiculous. Last time I checked, blast processing was a fruitless marketing ploy, not a damn nausea trip. Oh god. Oh, it's so fast. Oh god. Does anyone else feel lightheaded? Hey, look! There's 2 chemical plants. They're so spinny. As 3D Blast exemplified, it surely wasn't easy for Sega to bring their blue-quilled mascot into the 3D realm. Now, be prepared. There will be a lot of 3D Sonic games down the lines of this list. Why? Well, simply put, the 3D installments are discussed much more often than their two-dimensional brethren, even though the majority of these discussions are driven by spite. Yeah, a good percentage of the Sonic fanbase believes that every single 3D Sonic game ever made is downright horrible and doesn't even compare to the originals back on the Genesis. To which I reply,
Bullshit.
with the exception of there's not a single modern 3D Sonic game that I don't like. It's quite a shame that they're thrown aside like so. However, there is one 3D Sonic game that is widely accepted by just about every fan of the series, which happens to be the system seller of the extremely underrated Sega Dreamcast. Yep, it's the original Sonic Adventure. Oh man, this is what you call nostalgia. I don't know about you guys, but this is the game that truly showed me what Mario's incomparable adversary was truly made of. Yes, Sonic Adventure was the very first Sonic game I ever played, and it surely left a major impression on me. I can still visualize how it happened. The time is November of 1999. I was merely at the age of 7, and my young mind was still being mesmerized by games like Star Fox 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and Diddy Kong Racing. So, one day at school, my friend James asked me, "Hey, have you played that new Sonic game yet?" My rebuttal was, "What the heck is a Sonic?" No, seriously, that's what I said. So, later that week, he let me come over and play his Dreamcast. From the second that console turned on, I was officially hooked on Sonic. So it's needless to say that this game has some massive nostalgic appeal to me. Being the first real 3D Sonic game, Sonic Adventure 1 is without doubt the most innovative game in the series. Not only was it the first Sonic game to perfect the 3D formula, but it also introduced more character debuts than any other installment in the series. This marked the debut of Tikal, Gamma, the Chow species, Froggy, Big, and the mutant Chow known as Chaos. Now, just because this game holds high nostalgic value to me, don't go thinking that I'm going to ignore its gameplay. As I've said before, nostalgia and innovation are not everything. Thankfully, the gameplay is still as good as it ever was. As far as the term 3D goes, Sonic Adventure 1 is as 3D as they get. There is not a single moment in the game that is 2D. It's nothing but freeform running, jumping, gliding, and flying. Additionally, the next great element about Sonic Adventure is that there are multiple playable characters to choose from. There's Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Gamma, and Big. Sonic's stages are the classic get to the goal scenario. Tails' stages are near identical to Sonic's, with the exception that he's racing Sonic to the goal. Knuckles' stages are centered around looking for the lost pieces of the Master Emerald. Amy's stages are based around not getting abducted by one of Eggman's E-Series robots. Gamma's stages involve shooting the hell out of everything in sight, and Big stages are centered around, fishing. I hate you, Big. With the exception of Mr. Froggy. I enjoy every one of the characters' style of gameplay. My favorite stages to play are those of Gamma and Knuckles. However, Sonic Adventure features something that truly makes it special: the overworld. I know that there were other Sonic games to have overworlds, but the overworld in Sonic Adventure is the only one that I actually like. A lot of the time, I don't even go to any of the stages. I actually prefer roaming the overworlds much more than the actual stages. Not that they're bad or anything, it's just that the overworld is noteworthy for truly capturing the feeling of an adventure, something that this game isn't credited enough for. Whenever I replay Sonic Adventure, I usually spend most of my time just waltzing around Mystic Ruins with Tails and Knuckles. Just so much fun. Bottom line, Sonic Adventure may not be as good as everyone makes it out to be, but I still do love it. It's extremely nostalgic to me, and it just has this alluring charm to it that has lasted to this very day. It may be far from perfect, but no matter what happens to Sonic as a whole, I will always hold this one in precious regard. For a quick second here, let's talk about partners. Throughout the years, Sonic has had a slew of different partners, whether it be a psychokinetic Futurenaut, or even the literal interpretation of Catwoman. Yeah, I'm not feeling it. Most fans would say that the greatest pairing in the series is the iconic friendship between Sonic and Tails. I, however, think that there's a much more interesting substitute for Tails. After all, the best color to be paired with blue is red.
Are you crazy?
Here it is, the third and final 2D Sonic game to make the final cut, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. A lot of you may be thinking,
Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles? Dude, you're counting 2 games! That's cheating!
that assumption is both true and false. Allow me to explain. Originally, both of these games were intended to be one whole installment. However, the original product was separated into 2 games due to the inconvenient time constraints and the absurd cartridge prices. So, in a sense, the Sonic 3 and Knuckles cartridge is the true third installment in the classic Genesis series. Once you wrap your head around all that, you still got the game itself to check out. And my god, is this one good. This particular combination cartridge received a total of 296 votes. And if you've played it before, you know exactly why it's on here. Since there are technically 2 games in this cartridge apparatus, I'll go over each of them individually. Sonic 3, in all honesty, is probably my favorite of the original trilogy. Being that it's the third installment, there's not too many things that are made different in Sonic 3. You've got all the familiar elements, like the side-scrolling, the subpar boss fights with Eggman, the special stages, the Chaos Emeralds, etc. It's a Sonic game. This kind of stuff should be all too familiar to you. Some may see this as lack of innovation, but as long as the game is fun to play, I'm cool with just that. What I love about Sonic 3 is, well, everything. For one, the levels in Sonic 3 are definitely a step up from the previous games. At least I think so. Not only are the stages bigger, but there are also numerous different secrets and alternate routes within every stage. You could play one stage 1,000 times without noticing any secrets, and once you came across one of those secrets, you just can't resist checking it out. It gives the player a little bit of excitement. It may be a minor detail to some, but I love it when developers mix up the linearity a bit. At least when it's done well. My favorite stage has to be Launch Base Zone. Challenging as hell! I love that in a stage. Sonic is also given a new look in this game, and I gotta say, I definitely prefer it over his design from Sonic 1, 2, and CD. It may be just me, but Sonic's design in this game seems to have much more of a characterized look to it, meaning he actually has more than a single expression on his face. However, the two biggest changes that Sonic 3 introduced were the elemental shields and having Tails playable for the first time. Tails plays pretty much the same as Sonic, except he's a little slower and he can fly. So it's not really a major change, but it's nice to finally have the little guy playable. The shields, however, add a surprising amount of depth to the gameplay. They can either protect Sonic from a specific harm, or even affect how his jumping works. I especially like the bubble shield, as you don't have to worry about drowning while it's around you. Trust me on this, it'll save you many a migraine. The only real downside to Sonic 3 is its rather weak soundtrack. It's just not as good as the others. Some claim that Sonic 3 was way too short. Well, remember guys, this is only half of the true game. Sonic & Knuckles is basically Sonic 3.5. It picks up where Sonic 3 left off, and it's even better than its previous counterpart. It utilizes a modified version of Sonic 3's engine, and it features the same sprite work from before. The gameplay remains virtually unchanged from Sonic's standpoint, but for the first time in the 16-bit era, we finally get the opportunity to play as my personal favorite Sonic protagonist. Good old Knucklehead. You know the moveset that Knuckles has in Sonic Advance? Well, this is where he first used those atomic fists of his. It's exactly the same as I mentioned before. Gliding, scaling walls, multi-jab punch combos, it's all there. However, the stages in Knuckles' side of the story are constructed with the moveset in mind, meaning that Knuckles' abilities are used not only for attacking, but also for navigation. Personally, I much prefer playing as Knuckles. Why? Well, I just explained why. Nothing against Sonic, but can you really compete with the Red Devil from Angel Island? No, you can't. Final verdict, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one of the all-time greats of the Sega Genesis. It did everything the first two Genesis games did right, and significantly expanded upon both of them. Despite not being my favorite 2D Sonic, that would be Sonic CD, it still proves to be on par with its predecessors. Okay, this is gonna raise some hellish controversy. Because not only is the next game hated by many, but it actually managed to reach the number 6 spot. Well, I'm not gonna keep you guys in suspense. It's Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh god, talk about a series breaker. Shadow the Hedgehog is without a doubt the most controversial Sonic game ever created. Why? Well, let's just say that Sega took a shot at something a tad different. Now, let me just say this. I repeat, do not hate this game. In fact, it would probably land in my top 10 favorite Sonic games. I know that this game is thematically extreme in terms of the Sonic norm, but I myself rather enjoyed what Sega did with this game. Call me crazy, but that's just how it is. With such a uniquely mysterious anti-hero under their wing, it's no surprise that Sonic Team would give the ever-so-popular Shadow the Hedgehog a proper story to be told. The full story narrative involves Shadow trying to do whatever it takes to find out just who the hell he really is. The controls and overall feel of the game is similar to that of Sonic Heroes. You got all the standard stuff like homing attack and the spin dash. But Shadow the Hedgehog features another form of offense, which is one of the main sources of controversy. Let's take a quick glimpse at this image right here. Notice anything, I don't know, funny about how Shadow looks in this game? New teeth whitener? Some fancy new hair gel? Or how about that neat little pistol? Yes, it's no secret, Shadow uses guns in this game. While I can understand why one would consider this a little off, I personally don't see it as a problem. It's like, yes, guns exist, people. Suddenly an anthropomorphic rodent can't wield a weapon? Like, come on, guns aren't so bad, right? Okay, what am I saying? Of course guns are bad. My point is that I myself don't have a problem with them being in a Sonic game. If you're one of the many that find the guns in Shadow the Hedgehog unnecessary, just keep this little piece of trivia in mind. You don't have to use them. Also, the mild cursing is something that I think people complain about way too much. So, some of the characters say, damn, big deal. Sure, it's out of place in a Sonic game, but it's really not that bad. Besides, it's actually pretty funny at some points.
Where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
As for the characters themselves, okay, even I can agree with the major consensus. Most of the characters in Shadow the Hedgehog are boring. It's not that the characters were bad to begin with, it's just that their overall performance has been butchered from the past installment. I mean, for the love of Gunther, could someone please explain to me why Rouge sounds like a goddamn hooker in this game? Okay, whatever. Being that this is the only Sonic game to feature guns used by the playable characters, Shadow the Hedgehog's gameplay does feature some redeeming elements. That's right, I don't have a problem with the gameplay whatsoever. The way I see it, Shadow controls just fine. And most of the weapons are fun to use as well. Similar to how Fable works, this game allows the player to choose multiple paths, with every decision you make impacting the story as you go, whether it be the path of good, evil, or as a wandering rogue. I don't know why, but that's something I've always liked in a game. It makes the experience borderline rules-free. You could take on a certain path 1 minute, and then you could be doing the complete opposite the next. Bored of being a hero? Take the villainous path. Sick of being told what to do? Go forth to be the best damn anti-hero you can be. Whatever route you initially decide to take, each ending unveils various secrets to Shadow's origin. In all honesty, the story is rather interesting, especially if you have questions about Shadow himself. It truly is a unique twist amongst the rest of the Sonic franchise. Most importantly, it's fun to play. At least to me it is. Sure, some of its minor flaws could have been ironed over a bit, but that doesn't exactly make it a failure in my book. Yeah, this game isn't exactly for everyone, but it's a must-play for any Shadow fan. If you look past all of the controversy this game invokes, you might just find a great deal of enjoyment here. Just goes to show that any large franchise can spawn its own virtual oddities at any given time. Shadow the Hedgehog is a capital example of said anomaly. Final verdict, I feel that this game gets too much hate. Yes, it's far from perfect, but I can appreciate the gutsy leap Shadow the Hedgehog took. Others, however, just saw it as another excuse to complain.
We're Sonic Heroes!
Whew, man, nostalgia overload. With a vote count of 432, Sonic Heroes stands as one of the most picked on Sonic titles ever created. And like many of you who voted for it, I honestly agree. Why is Sonic Heroes picked on so damn much? Well, in combination of the already terrible fan base, Sonic Heroes is often thought of as an oddball amongst all the other games in the series. And because of its extreme contrast, it gets loads of crap for it. Well, as you can probably tell by now, I'm not quite the same, being that I love Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes truly is something special. It has a great plot, interesting gameplay, awesome level design, and just has a unique feel to it. Like any good game, gameplay is definitely Sonic Heroes' strongest point. Instead of the standard lone character clears a stage with no help, Sonic Heroes mixes the gameplay up a notch by having 4 different teams having at the levels as a full-on tag trio. Each team consists of 3 members, the Speed Demon, the High Flyer, and the Epic Powerhouse. All 3 of these skilled roles are fully integrated into both the gameplay and the level design. Need to take down flying enemies? Fly formation is the proper change. Need to take down an extremely tough enemy? Power formation is the way to go. All of the formations in Sonic Heroes are put to great use, and each of them can be leveled up for different attribute effects. You'd think that a huge set of characters like this would result in nothing but a disastrous mess, but it's not. All of the teams work perfectly with each other, and it never feels like the cluttered wreck that the fanboys try to get you to believe. The teams themselves are also a well-done piece of work, with all of them having their own motives and, on some occasions, different mission types. They all may play in a similar fashion, but all of the teams are distinguishable in their own right, whether it be Team Sonic's strong sense of justice, or even Team Rose's gentle and overall innocent disposition. All of the character archetypes are well portrayed by the voice actors, and I personally feel that their efforts are heavily underappreciated. My personal favorite of the teams has to be Team Chaotix. Why? Well, for several reasons. First off, their mission types are the most unique of the teams, with all of their objectives being deviated from the basic reach to the goal scenario. Also, the Chaotix members are just a joy to listen to. Each one of them act in a very quirky fashion and are just downright lovable. Especially Vector.
What?
Man, what a bunch of clowns. Another great thing that I can say about this game is that it has some of the greatest level design I've ever seen in a Sonic game. Bingo Highway? Yes, please! The plot is also a major highlight, as it presents arguably the biggest plot twist in Sonic history. As a whole, Sonic Heroes truly is a virtual gem, and it's gone down in history for its creative gameplay and its risky jump into something new. I'm not sure if this game is more loved or more hated by others, but as far as my own judgment stands, Sonic Heroes is one of the greatest multi-ports of the 6th generation. Say what you want, I myself think it's amazing, and I think nothing less of that. Good lord, has it really been 20 years already? Man, do I feel old. With 451 votes, the number 4 spot belongs to the most recent installment in the series, Sonic Generations. Taking some hints from their pissed off fans wanting a Sonic game that doesn't quote-unquote suck, Sega figured that having both modern and Genesis Sonic eras merged into one would be the best way to go. And yes, they were sure right on this one. Even the most bitchy Sonic snobs could agree with one thing. Sonic Team really pulled through here. A good game is better than a bad game, and 2 Sonics are better than 1. Whether you're a fan of the Genesis days of old, or even the modern 3D epics, you just can't go wrong with something like this. With such an interesting concept at the helm, Sega could have easily fucked this whole thing up. But it turns out they heard too much whining amongst the fans, and just said, "Here you go, are you happy now?" But enough talk about Sega's magnificent comeback. Let's go over some cold hard game talk here. Sonic Generations, as you should already know, takes just about everything great about both the 2D and 3D styles of Sonic, and pretty much gives you the name of a less than subpar teen pop song. Yes, as unriveting as that initially sounds, it's actually pretty damn fantastic. Every single stage in Generations takes numerous locations from all the previous Sonic games. There's locations from pretty much all sides of the Sonic timeline. Seaside Hill, Crisis City, Green Hill Zone, City Escape, Speed Highway, and even Planet Wisp. All of these memorable locations look absolutely amazing, and every stage is expertly crafted to suit modern and classic Sonic's attributes accordingly. I myself prefer the modern Sonic stages, as they have both 2D and 3D sections within them, whereas the classic Sonic stages are strictly 2D. Modern Sonic rocks. Although I do love classic Sonic as well. He's such a little goof in this game. You may classify the levels as rehash, but I really don't see that as a problem. Sure, all of the locations are based around areas previously made by Sonic Team, but it's all in the thematic plot presented throughout the whole game. Speaking of which, I just love how they made the basic premise of the game connected to a plot that actually shows some continuity between 2 of the games. The bosses are awesome as well. All of the bosses are faithful reimaginings of classic villains, memorable Eggman mechas, and even old rivals. If you're a Sonic fan, this is truly a masterpiece to behold. All of Sonic's greatest moments and conflicts are all brought together to make the ultimate appeal to the unforgiving fanbase. Sometimes I wonder if we actually deserve a game this good. Now, although Generations is an amazing Sonic game in its own right, I only have one major gripe with it. And that's the fact that it hardly strays away from the immense fan service it presents, and doesn't introduce much of anything new. Though, it's not that big a deal, as the game is so damn fun that it hardly phases me during the experience. So, what's for the future of Sonic? Are they going to continue rehashing their past greatness, or are they going to blow our minds? As a Sonic fan, I myself trust that Sonic Team will deliver some new and great stuff with the next 3D installment. Keep up the great work, guys. There's still one Sonic fan that believes in you. Guys, you deserve a high five, for I can't even thank you enough for placing this installment so high on the list, for this game is a true wonder. Oh, you bet your ass on it! With a total of 483 votes, the number 3 goes to my personal favorite Sonic game, Sonic Colors. The common reaction would be something like, Colors is your fave? Maybe just a little bit. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When I first heard about this game, I thought it was gonna blow. While watching the first E3 trailer of this game, I thought to myself, first bestiality and now an LSD trip? Oh my god, Sega, just give the poor guy a break. Just kidding. But once I got the game for Christmas later that year, it flew past my expectations with flying, take a fucking guess. So, what exactly makes Sonic Colors such a good game? Well, I'm not even sure I can even thoroughly explain my love for it, but I'll give it a go. First off, the setting. The whole premise of Sonic Colors pretty much asks the player an important question. If you were stuck all alone in a gargantuan interstellar amusement park chained together by 5 planets, what would you do? I don't know about you, but I'd probably call up the Star Fox team and have some fun. Whoopee! No lines! No, but seriously, the setting for Sonic Colors is definitely one of the main highlights. Being that this place is basically one huge neon sign in the sky, and the fact that you have the most hyperactive entity imaginable roaming the place, you just know this game is gonna be fun. So, as my viewers, you might wonder, so Mr. Minion, does Sonic Colors deliver? Well, quite frankly, it does much more than just deliver. The brilliance of Sonic Colors can only be summed up with one word: amazing. Contrary to fan-base generalization, Sonic Colors does not stray away from what makes the series so stellar. In fact, it delivers exactly what all of you have been bitching Sega to make for the past decade. Good old-fashioned Sonic action without radically changing the formula. Ergo, Sonic Colors gameplay is beyond standard, as far as the Sonic series goes. All you do is run, jump, stomp, and use power-ups to mow your way through Eggman's spectacle of an amusement park. Sure, you got the Sonic standards, but Sonic Colors also manages to deliver a nice twist of its own. The abstract, color-fused alien lifeforms known as Wisps. These color wisps act as the central focus of Sonic Colors. The plot involves Eggman harvesting these bizarre aliens in vast quantities to utilize their extremely powerful energy source known as Hyper Go-On Energy. It may not sound so bad, but according to an unused voice clip from Eggman himself, the Hyper Go-On Energy found in these creatures is even more powerful than that of the Chaos Emeralds. Yeah, that's a problem. In order to put the Doc's heartless plan to a halt, Sonic must tap into the incredible power of the Wisps and blast through his alien harvesting schemes. The Wisps come in 10 different variations: white, cyan, yellow, orange, pink, blue, purple, red, and violet. Each of them grants Sonic a special ability, whether it be drilling through solid ground or even going into a carnage-filled rampage. All of the Wisps are used constantly, and their uses are fully integrated on how the levels play out, both in 2D and 3D. Speaking of the levels, I feel that the level design in Sonic Colors is the best that the series has ever seen. Special mentions going to Aquarium Park and, of course, Tropical Resort. Every level in the game is expertly crafted, and the thematic layouts never cease to mesmerize me. Now, some argue that the 2D sections were poorly handled, but I really don't see it. Probably because I was having too much damn fun to even care about such a thing. Also, I may be alone when I say this, but I personally think Sonic Colors is the overall best looking Sonic game to date, even more so than Generations. Yes, I really did just say that. Lastly, the music. We all know that music is something that Sonic games always get right. but the soundtrack within Sonic Colors is just indescribable. It's by far my favorite soundtrack in the series, and it even rivals the likes of my top choices like Pac-Man World 2. Ranging from the outstanding vocal tracks from Cash Cash, the amazing orchestra of the Nega-Wisp armor, and even the fast-paced yet catchy Tropical Resort Act 1. Hell, both verses of my intro theme are straight from this breathtaking soundtrack. I could go on and on and on and on and on about every little detail, but my explanations could literally go on for an eternity. Sonic Colors is not only my favorite Sonic game, but also one of the most spectacular virtual experiences I have ever lived through. You might say that I'm giving it too much credit, but I seriously do love it that much. If the order of this list was my decision, we would all be done here. But we do have 2 more Sonic games on the line, so I'll happily shift gears. If there ever comes a day where you're in a glum mood, just turn on your Wii, pop in Sonic Colors, and reach for the stars. Guess who? Yes, I'm just as surprised as you are. The almighty Sonic Adventure 2 isn't number 1.
Fuck you!
Oh, give it a rest already. Oh boy. As you can probably tell, I'm somewhat reluctant to talk about this one, and I'm sure you know why. When talking about Sonic Adventure 2, you're stepping into rather touchy territory, because in all reality, this game is treated as something made by godly hands. Well, it's inevitable that there will be fanboys attacking me no matter what I say anyway. So, let's go ahead and rip into it. The year is 2001, which marks the 10th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. For this special occasion, Sega figured that an all-new, all-expansive, and certainly much-warranted sequel to Sonic Adventure was in order. You know how Generations was a celebratory release and how it was, awesome? Yeah, that's exactly the case here. A full-fledged, immensely solid, and downright legendary installment in this wonderful franchise. Sonic Adventure 2, in short, is phenomenal. I don't hold it in high regard as much as, well, this clown, but I do indeed love it. Sonic Adventure 2's narrative is split into 2 alignments, those being the hero side and the dark side. Both sides play in a similar fashion, and the character archetypes are parallel with each other. Like the original Sonic Adventure 2 features multiple playable character options. Only this time, every single character is a joy to play as, rather than having the mixed enjoyment factors present within the first game. You got a total of 6 different characters to control, all of which represent one of the 3 gameplay styles. You have the run-and-gun destruction-filled insanity of the Tails and Eggman levels, the expansive and addicting treasure hunting levels with Knuckles and Rouge, and, of course, the fast-paced and blood-pumping speed levels with Sonic and Shadow. It may not be the absolute pinnacle of diversity, but it certainly has its own redeemable perks. As if I wasn't different enough as it is, you'll never guess what my favorite sections of the game are. Yeah, it's actually the treasure hunting sections. Call me crazy, but I just love these sections. For what reason? The hell if I know, they're just, fun. On a personal note, I feel as if the treasure hunting stages had the most creativity put into them. I love you, Pumpkin Hill. That's not to say the other sections aren't enjoyable as well, because frankly, all the stages are a great time. Oh, except for Egg Quarters. Fuck you and your lasers, you damn dirty shit-smeared security beetles. The story of Sonic Adventure 2 is also one of the better plots in the series, with the whole game consisting of nothing but iconic moments, not to mention a few twists along the way. Sonic Adventure 2, like the original, has an extreme nostalgic appeal to me. It was the 3rd Sonic game I ever played, and it's been the favorite of my family for over a decade now. There are just so many things in this game that I simply never forget. I'll always remember the Chow Garden and just how much time I spent fooling around in there. All of the fun experiences with family and multiplayer matches is also a fond memory I have with this game. And, of course, I'll always remember Shadow and just how amazing of a character he was. There's so many great elements within this game that truly make it stand out from all the other games in the series. On a technical standpoint, there's hardly anything wrong with it. It plays wonderfully, and it just has an overall seamless flow to it. On a list of my personal favorites, I'd probably rank this as a solid number 4. I know that many of you worship it as a relic from Valhalla, but just be cool about my justification, lest you look like a whiner. I seriously expected this to steal the #1 spot in an instant, but it looks like another game beat it by a surprising 24 votes. What could this elusive Sonic game be? Let's find out. When I first started this contest, I never would have imagined that this particular Sonic game would even come close to dominating the whole list. But all of you blew my mind with the final result. With a gargantuan 538 votes, the #1 spot belongs to the most unique Sonic game I have ever played. A Sonic game so fun, so epic, and so cinematically breathtaking that it honestly leaves me speechless. That game is Sonic Unleashed. Yes, out of all the Sonic games, Sonic Unleashed was the one to ultimately reach the top. And I'm honestly very happy that Unleashed claimed this rank. I don't care how much shit I'm gonna get for saying this. Sonic Unleashed is amazing. Out of all the criticism this game receives, it just flat out baffles me how everyone seems to look past all the damn good additions that Unleashed has to offer. Sonic Unleashed, possibly even more so than Shadow the Hedgehog, is an extremely divisive installment. It was at this point that the general public began to ultimately lose faith in Sonic, uttering bullshit phrases like, "Why'd you give us this bullshit werehog? Why couldn't you just go back to the days of old? Why don't you love us, Sega?" Well, you know what? Have some goddamn flexibility, huh? So, why is Unleashed treated so horribly? Well, for those of you who are not yet familiarized, I'll fill you in. The plot involves Eggman draining the Chaos Emeralds of their power and using his Chaos Energy Cannon to literally break the Earth apart. Doing this awakens the deity of darkness, Dark Gaia. Since Sonic was connected to the energy of the Chaos Emeralds during the process, Sonic became infused with Dark Gaia's powers and shaped into the monstrous form of Sonic the Werehog. So that's why Sonic is like that. It's not just some random bullshit thrown in due to a lack of ideas. The form of the Werehog is actually connected to the whole damn plot. Where's your loophole now, fanboys? As you can figure, there are two sides to this game, daytime and nighttime. During the day, the game is officially flickered onto the insane level. The daytime stages allow Sonic to do what he does best, blasting through the ripples of reality at blinding speeds. Now, we all know that Sonic is fast. In previous games, Sonic's always been a rapid sprinter while still being able to be mentally grasped by the player. But his speed in Unleashed is unlike any other. I mean, for Christ's sake, look at this shit! Look at it! Good lord, Sonic, how are you not catching on fire? To this day, Unleashed is the only Sonic game that has actually managed to make me sick through the sense of speed. I'm not kidding. As a matter of fact, he's so fast in this game that you actually have to drift in order to avoid crashing. Oh goddamn, this is crazy. The day stages, while insanely fast-paced, are actually very simple. Just make it to the goal as fast as your mind can handle. Then there's the nighttime stages. Despite all the common complaints from fans, I personally find the Werehog to be one of the most creative changes made to any popular IP. Sure, it's not at all relevant to the Sonic norm, but the stages are still immensely enjoyable. In contrast to the mind-boggling daytime stages, the nighttime stages require the player to take it a bit slower and put the powers of Dark Gaia to the ultimate test. Since the Werehog is much more bulky than normal Sonic, he's forced to use his incredible strength to pound through hordes of nocturnal Dark Gaia spawns. And does it suck? No. The Werehog stages are much more than they appear. It's no button masher, that's for sure. The Werehog can use those monstrous arms of his to utterly destroy his enemies with awesome combo chains. Believe it or not, I actually prefer the nighttime stages over the daytime stages. There, I said it. Anyone care to sue me? If so, I got Mr. Right on standby. I also really like the friendship between Sonic and Chip. Throughout the whole game, both of them look out for each other. always giving the other needed support and having a great time throughout the adventure. It's one of the greatest friendship bonds I've ever seen in a game, and it never once feels like it's going against Sonic's character. The friendship between Sonic and Chip is quite possibly the deepest example of character performance within the series, and it makes the ending to this game all the more sad. In all honesty, there's not a single damn thing in this game that I can legitimately complain about. To sum it all up, Sonic Unleashed is not only a good Sonic installment, but just an amazing experience altogether. It pretty much has it all. Amazing story, jaw-dropping visuals, incredible soundtrack, memorable moments, huge variety in gameplay, and the most extreme sense of speed the franchise has ever seen. This is being Fawful's Minion, and according to all of you, Sonic Unleashed is the greatest Sonic game ever made. Nothing here is absolute, and even if you disagree to the point where you just rip out your hair, I still hope you enjoyed the video regardless. See you all next countdown.